Hey guys, and welcome back to the Lucid Nightmare. I'm your host as always, Jay Schatzer, and it's time for another Quickie. And this one we're going to mix it up a little bit, getting away from the film realm and diving into some books, some manga. Because it does have a nice little horror twist to it, especially these ones. And just wanted to showcase some of them that I've been reading and loving to death, and maybe spark your interest in some manga, and horror manga specifically. But what we're going to be talking about is some Junji Ito's works. Junji Ito. I always mess it up. I don't know how to do Japanese language pronunciations. But yeah, Junji Ito. I have a bunch of his stuff. Just really been enjoying it over the last couple months. I've always enjoyed Uzumaki, the film version from like early 2000s. And kind of just recently just started delving back into his actual manga works, his stories. But yeah, we'll just showcase some of them off and see what you guys think. But first up is the just what I mentioned before, Uzumaki Spiral. And this one's fantastic. This is one of my favorite of his works. Just a really cool story in general, and just it's all located in a small village where people start kind of being taken over by spiral shapes. Everything, like, they become insane, they go mad over the spiral shape. So everything just starts changing into that. The clouds start spiraling. People, their pupils in their eyes start spiraling. People are turning into snails. It's just really, really weird. And a lot of his work, well, I mean, all of his work is all just beautifully illustrated. So I'll probably be diving in later after I show just when I'm talking about these books. And then we'll dive into some of the pages just to see the artwork, because it's really fantastic. Wicked, disturbing, and sometimes cruel. But Uzumaki, just a really good story. Just follows a young girl trying to survive this in her village, where people are just turning into these crazy creatures, and just all hell is breaking loose. And that's kind of like a theme throughout all of his works, is that it's almost like apocalyptic, a lot of his stories. But yeah, Spiral's fantastic. But let's move on. Next one, I don't know how to pronounce this one. I'm gonna say Gaio, could be Geo, but yeah, Gaio or Geo. I'm gonna go with Gaio. It's easier to say for me. But really, really awesome story. Not like Uzumaki. I didn't really know anything about any of his other stuff, so these were all kind of just blind buys, and just kind of going off his art style and story telling abilities. I kind of was like, yeah, let's dive into this one and see what he has to offer. But this one is amazing. And it's Gaio, the Death Stench Creeps. But that's kind of like the theme of it. It's just, I guess it centers around this young couple that are on vacation, and while they're on vacation, this fish with legs comes up on a shore. It smells like total crap, really, really disturbing, and they end up killing it, but then it kind of follows them around still. Like, it's almost like it's a dead fish, but it's being controlled by something else, like a parasite. And it just kind of escalates from there, because it gets more and more hectic. The stench just seems to encapsulate everything in the area. The whole region is kind of taken over by all these aquatic animals coming up on a shore with legs. And it just gets crazier and crazier until it starts taking over almost all of Japan. And like I said, it's like an apocalyptic setting then at that point. It's just, things start going crazy. People are trying to survive it, and it gets kind of into like the qualities that John Carpenter's The Thing, where people are getting absorbed into this kind of creature creation where people are being combined into fish people, and with these weird legs. It's hard to describe, but when I show you the art inside the book later on, you'll get a kind of grasp of the weird horror on display. But really amazing stuff, and probably my second favorite of his stories so far that I've read. I know there's one famous one that I haven't read that's one of his most known, but I don't have it in my collection yet, but I'm working on getting that one eventually soon. But let's move it on to the next one. This one is another like apocalyptic kind of story, and it's actually really cool. It has a lot of religious elements, or I guess imagery to it. I don't know how religious based it is, but it kind of emphasizes the mob mentality, how people just kind of go insane when they're frightened, near death, and they'll just do anything to kind of get out of the situation. But the movie, or the movie, I'm so used to talking about movies. The book is Ramina, and it pretty much centers around this planet here that's coming towards Earth, and it centers around a young girl whose father is an astrologist who sees this for the first time and names it after her. And so everyone's like, oh, you know, the famous astrologer guy and his daughter, you know, she becomes famous. And then as they find out in a year or two or something like that, that the planet is actually moving towards them and it's pretty much on a collision course. So everyone's pissed off, scared, and they start blaming her and her father for predicting this, and that they're the reason that this thing is happening. And if they kill them or sacrifice them or something, that it will stop the planet from heading their way. So it's just mobs of people running around going crazy, trying to get to them. It's apocalyptic setting. And it gets crazier once the planet gets there and things start getting really out of control. And it's hard to describe how insane this story gets, but really amazing stuff, some amazing artwork in there, and just a crazy, crazy story about the faults of humankind and the way we kind of just delve into madness when put to the test of like a doomsday scenario. But really cool stuff. I like this one. It's probably my third favorite one of his that I've read so far. And really enjoyed this one. It's a quick read. It's not that big of a story, as you can see from the thickness here. But yeah, really awesome stuff. But the last book that I have of his is a collection of stories, and I have not gotten to this one yet, so this is probably my next little adventure into his world. But it is Smashed. And don't know much about it, but I know it's just a series of short stories of his different ideas that came to him, and looks pretty on par with what he did in the previous books that I've read. But like I said, short stories, so it's not a kind of overarching story like all the other ones, which I do prefer that. I don't know how well I'm gonna like the short story format, but I know there's a few other, like 2 other collections I need to pick up, 2 other short stories, and just looking forward to seeing what else is in his warped creative mind. But let's dive into these guys and check out the inside of the contents. All right, guys, here we're gonna start looking into some of this awesome artwork, but we're gonna first start with Uzumaki. And look at that. Some beautiful inside cover. Some of this other random chapter selection, but they're village chapter contents. But see if we can get some crazy imagery in here, but that's what I'm talking about. Just some really demented stuff. But pretty much town is overtaken by spirals. But yeah, it's some really disturbing imagery. Let's see if I can get... That's pretty disturbing. But like right there, I mean, there's a lot of this imagery throughout all of his works. Just really like zombified kind of things, and just hard to look at. There's people turning into snails. Just really, really crazy stuff. But beautiful, like beautifully demented. It's probably the best way to describe it. But yeah, it is nuts. But yeah, the Uzumaki is a very, very interesting story. Just about a town pretty much going crazy over spirals. It's pretty much the most easiest way to define them. But yep. But like I said before, it's got an apocalyptic feel where things are just totally going crazy. And just a really awesome story in general. Next up is Gaio, and I didn't really show the other box around there, but that's kind of like how the other edition looks. But let's dive in and look at some of this art. There's one of the weird fish creatures with legs, and yeah, this is a very, very, very crazy story. Oh, there is one of the, well, a few of the fish creatures coming up onto shore. They first start attacking it, and there's a shark. So it's like any aquatic animal is starting to come out of the water with these weird legs and just kind of attacking everyone and just taking over civilization pretty much. But it just centers around this kid, this one kind of guy and his girlfriend, trying to deal with the whole scenario and getting mixed up in different misadventures and just the world collapsing under the kind of out of nowhere attack of these weird creatures. But yeah, I like these kind of double spread pages. But I mean, see, it gets even more demented of just transforming people, like I said, with John Carpenter's The Thing. Just really, really cool, wicked imagery. And yeah, it just gets more and more messed up as the story progresses. Just really crazy stuff. Like I said, very horror-centric, all of his stories. They'll have a kind of ghastly, disturbing edge to them. And yeah, just crazy. Oh, disgusting. Here is Romina. This is a very, very crazy one also, with a lot of apocalyptic feels in there. But starts out innocent enough, but then slowly escalates as the planet gets closer and closer, and the demise of the human race gets near and near. Like I said, a lot of the religious imagery to this. Almost like a cult following kind of like transforms out of nowhere in the middle of the story, and just really gets out of control to where eventually, like, yeah, eventually, like, the atmosphere is just kind of caving in on itself because the planet's so close. So gravity is just out of control. So people are just flying through the air trying to survive, and things just start transforming and just getting weirder and more disturbing as it goes on. Just totally insane. But a very, very beautifully crafted film. Oh, there's my little bookmark. Duck bookmark. Last but not least, as far as I know, is Smashed, the short story collection. One of his, but the only one I have. And I don't know much about it, but it still has that same really vivid imagery throughout it. A lot of different short stories in here. All varying, it looks like. Ghost stories to just kind of possessions and weird transformations like his usual subject matter. But yeah, just cool stuff all around, and more religious imagery. He must be obsessed with it. But ghastly horror. But a lot of cool stuff in there. So I mean, pretty much gives you a good flavor of his style of storytelling and his art style as well. But really great stuff, and kind of a good stepping stone into manga if you're kind of never dipped your toes into the world and you love horror. This is a really good stepping stone into that whole world. But yeah, guys, that is everything in the collection and what the art and stuff looks like. So if you're interested with that, that's pretty much a good stepping stone into his kind of art style and subject matter. Junji Ito. Yeah. Well, there it is, guys. That is my Junji Ito collection. Ah, that name. But really, really awesome stuff. Really cool mangas. If you're into horror like I am, and most of you guys watching this channel are into that kind of stuff, you'll probably really get a kick of these mangas, and it'll probably give you a nice introduction into the manga world and maybe get your interest into other stuff that's out there. But it's definitely a great starter, like a starter drug, these guys, and I recommend every single one of these ones so far. So, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to love the other ones in his collection that I still have to get. So definitely a fan of his and his artwork. As you can see, it's some crazy demented stuff, really disturbing in most parts, and just inventive in general. Really amazing stuff, artwork to die for, and will get under your skin. But guys, that is it for me today. Hope you enjoyed that different one and branching out and doing something completely new on the channel. And I hope you like what I'm doing here. If you do, please like and subscribe. And if you have time, leave a comment below because I'd love to hear from you. But until then, I'll see you all the next time I'm in front of a camera talking about anything, I guess. But guys, take care, stay out of trouble, and I will see you guys later. See ya.